I'm not, you know, I wasn't a tough guy. I wasn't a hard guy. I wasn't in my heart. I loved Harry Potter and I loved, you know, trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards and playing football. That's who I was. I was a geek. I loved anime, you know, but I wasn't this rep your set guy. But I feel like I had to be that guy in that moment, you know, to get respect from everybody else. So this guy asked me where I was from, and I told him, you know, I'm from South Sac, basically. You know, even though I was living in Northern Sac, and at that point, being from South Sac and North Sac, or being from North Sac and South Sac, was bad, especially if you were repping it openly. So I told him, you know, I'm from South Sac. And the young gentleman, he couldn't have been any older than 16, 17. I was 13 at the time. He put a gun to my head.
How I look, man? Looking cute. Yeah, this is how it's kind of going. I'm excited. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Jaja's Mic, home of the world's toughest leaders. It's such a pleasure for you to join us. Today, y'all know my favorite spot, Starbucks. And I'm doing the music video that I've been talking about for a few weeks for a minister in Houston. And all of a sudden, the Lord blesses me with somebody extremely passionate on astronomical levels. My leaders, he wants to speak to you specifically. And in particular, he wants to speak to my young black leaders across the globe. He has a message for you on your possibilities. Those of you all know we're in a society now where a lot of young black leaders are feeling shackled. They don't feel as though they're getting the same opportunities. My leader today, Andre Miller, wants to open up and broaden your perspective today. So my leaders, without further ado, I introduce you to Andre Miller.
So hey, how you guys doing? My name is Andre Miller. I'm originally from California. I was raised in Sacramento, California. Born in San Diego actually, but raised in Sacramento, California. Equal parts and, you know, South Sacramento and Northern Sacramento. But I guess in regards to where a lot of the influence and sort of my direction, you know, that was where it was influenced, was initially in a place called Del Paso Heights. That was northern Sacramento, California, of course. During that time, actually, Del Paso Heights was, in regards to the United States of America, I believe it had to be top 15 or 20 in regards to crime, murders, robberies, gang affiliations, gang banging, etc. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a background in regards to just the area that I think had, you know, a major influence on my life, right? So just growing up, you know, first grade, second grade through sixth, I had good grades. I mean, I was top 2 in my class with another Asian American young lady. I remember her name was 2 actually. She was me and her were always battling for the first and the second spot in regards to academics. And you know, I was going to the Summer Gate program for, you know, the academically gifted, and I was an innocent young man. You know, I liked going out with my parents, fishing, camping. I liked when we could afford it, going over to my cousin's house and barbecuing and having a good time, and just having that family dynamic when we had the opportunity to do so. But once I got to the 7th grade, we moved from southern South Sacramento to North Sacramento, Del Paso Heights. My parents were on Section 8, welfare, government assistance, and we moved to these duplexes in Del Paso Heights, which is once again northern Sacramento. And that's right when I left the 6th grade to enter the 7th grade. So up to that point, being in elementary, I mean, you know, you had influences, and you know, you saw certain things. You know, you saw the rap videos, and you saw music, and you saw the hip hop community. But for me, it never really, it never really embraced me, right? It never really, I never really got to the point where I was like, hey, that's who I want to be. I don't remember in 5th grade or 6th grade saying Jay-Z, Rockefeller, Tupac, Biggie, And like for me, it was, I wanted to play with my friends. I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted to watch Pokemon, I had good grades. I loved reading Harry Potter and different books. So I guess I'm just trying to set up the frame that I was just this, for the most part, I mean, I was, we were poor, but my lens was like this in regards to, I wasn't necessarily thinking about who I wanted to be. I just knew that I was talented, I had good grades, and I loved doing what I wanted to do. So fast forward to the 7th grade, and Del Paso Heights, once again, I described earlier in the video just the environment and the circumstances and sort of what I was enveloped in. That's when things started changing. My father at that time, my stepfather who raised me, was driving trucks. My mom was working at her call center job, and I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters growing up as well. So it was a total 7 of us in the household. So if you can imagine, there wasn't a lot of time for them to feed us, clothe us, make sure that we did our homework, and then control the outer message and the influence that other people were sort of having on us, whether that was the local corner drug dealer, whether that was a gangbanger, whether that was, the dudes that I actually started looking up to. That was these dudes that were, the pimps, things of that nature. Like, that image and everything that I saw at that point started having that influence on me. And unfortunately, my parents couldn't control that outer influence, right? So at that time, my mindset, 7th grade, that's when puberty starts happening. And that's why this message is sort of, it is directed at the young black man. When you start at a point in your life, when you start trying to figure out, okay, who am I? What's cool? What's hip? What's nice? Man, how did I get these Jordans on my feet? You know what I mean? I'm not wearing Jordans or anything right now, but I'm thinking back to how I started thinking, man, how do I see this dude in this nice Mercedes or this nice Mustang, 5.0 or whatever, and I see him with the ladies, like, man, that looks cool. How do I get that, right? So at, I would say 6th, 7th, 8th grade, for a lot of young black men, especially for me, you start thinking, you start morphing into the young adolescent that you're supposed to be, right? You start looking, and for certain people, their fathers and their mothers and their grandmothers and that support structure and that family environment is so stringent and so supportive that they have that father and that grandfather and those other figures in their life telling them what a successful black man looks like and how you can obtain that success, how you can get that car, and how you can get that beautiful wife or a beautiful girlfriend or whatever in the future. So they frame that. But for the most, how society's set up, especially for African Americans in society today, that influence comes from outside of the household. I forget the statistic, you might have to fact check this, on a later time, but I believe 3 out of every 4 households are single parent households. So that means either a father, but most likely a grandmother or a mom that's overworked is raising that kid. So she can't necessarily control and push and support that message, right? 24 hours a day. Now she can try, but you really need an everyday presence, and not necessarily around the clock, but the majority of the day pushing you, whether that's the friends that you're hanging out with, whether that's your coaches with AAU or Pop Warner football or Little League football or baseball, whether that's after school programs, whether that's young man getting together, whatever it is, you need that positive reinforcement and those messages, those affirmations being fed into you. But unfortunately, that's not what a lot of young black men see, specifically for myself. I got those messages and what I saw, and those people that were having those influences on me were unfortunately those people that were in the streets, and that's what I thought, and that's what I thought honestly you had to do, or that's who I had to be like in order to get where I went. That was my idea of success, and that is my overall message today, is that that is not success. And there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of possibilities and a lot of things that you can do in this world if you just make it out. You know what I mean? And just understand that, you know, the success through your passion and through doing things the right way, and your success and who you become in life, and your idea of what is cool and who is cool, that will come as time progresses and as you experience more of life. But you can't experience more of life if you end up selling drugs and then end up going to jail, or you end up selling drugs or being on the streets, or being, you know, gang banging, being a blood, being a crib, or being from whatever set you're from, and you end up dying or getting shot. You know what I mean? You can't be successful if you're in a bucket full of crabs who are continuously pulling you down. I guess my overall message, Jay-Z said something in a concert the other day where he said crabs aren't meant to be in a barrel. And what I mean by that is there's opportunities and possibilities for you to surround yourself with people who want you to flourish and be successful, or on a contrast, on the opposite end of that coin, the flip side of that coin, there's the actual barrel in our community where it's filled with those drug dealers and the gang bangers and the womanizers and the pimps and anybody else that isn't doing things the right way. Society's already against us, and I guess my overall message in ending this is, you know, just saying, hey, you don't have to be like them guys to be cool. You don't have to be like them guys, or you don't have to be what society depicts us as to be successful. You know, you can be a millionaire, you can be a billionaire, you can be a philanthropist, you can be, you know, you can be a community advocate, you can be whatever you want. But right now, keep being who you are, and don't let that outside influence, even though it looks cool, even though it looks flashy, even though they look tough, don't let that determine who you are today. If you like reading books, if you like playing chess, if you like playing basketball, if you like playing football, if you like, you know, collecting cards or selling, you know, old baseball cards or old football cards or whatever, keep doing that. That's cool. That's great. That's alive. That's away from jail. That's away from, you know, being 6 feet under. That's beautiful. Your time is gonna come, young black man. Your time is going to come. But you have to give your time, and you have to give yourself a chance to flourish. And these guys are what you're seeing in this community or wherever you're at. That's not it. I guess I just want to end with a practical experience of mine, and sort of just tell you basically how I got away from that, right? Because I led it up saying I was in this, you know, I was in these streets, and I was influenced by these other guys and things of that nature. And I guess you're saying, Andre, Mr. Miller, you know, so how did you end up where you're at right now? Well, currently right now I'm an account rep for a major elevator company here in Austin, Texas, around the world. And, you know, I graduated from San Diego State with a Bachelor of Science in Applied Arts and Sciences. So I did end up getting my degree. So how did I get from where I grew up to that point and where I am today? I was walking in my neighborhood at that point in Del Paso Heights, and I was walking to this party. I'd actually ran away, you know, jumped out my window, you know, to get to this party, to be this cool guy, to be, you know, be where it was happening, right? Basically be where, you know, where these other people were at, you know, so it could be great, you know, so I can be on the scene. And I was walking to this party, and this guy that wasn't necessary from that neighborhood asked me where I was from. And me trying to rep and act like this guy that I knew I wasn't, because I'm not, you know, I wasn't a tough guy, I wasn't a hard guy, I wasn't in my heart, I loved Harry Potter, and I loved, you know, trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards and playing football. That's who I was. I was a geek. I loved anime, you know, but I wasn't this rep your set guy. But I feel like I had to be that guy in that moment, you know, to get respect from everybody else. So this guy asked me where I was from, and I told him, you know, I'm from South Sac, basically, you know, even though I was living in Northern Sac. And at that point, being from South Sac and North Sac, or being from North Sac and South Sac, was bad, especially if you were repping it openly. So I told him, you know, I'm from South Sac. And the young gentleman, he couldn't have been any older than 16, 17. I was 13 at the time. He put a gun to my head. He put a gun to my head. And luckily, I knew the name of the guy that was throwing the party, and we were cool. And I told him, hey, nah, man, look, man, I'm with old boy here, you know. He invited me here. He was like, well, get to the party so I could confirm this. After we confirmed that, you know, I was good and I was cool, you know, they basically got the gun away. I don't know what happened to the guy, because right after that, I got about it and I went home. That was sort of a pivotal moment for me. And I know you laugh, you say sort of pivotal. I mean, there was still a lot of moments after that where, as a young man, I'm still figuring it out. But I would say that at that point, I realized that, yo, I'm not this dude that's carrying around. I don't have a gun, you know. I'm not really in the streets like that, and I excuse my language, I damn sure do not care to lose my life over where I'm supposedly from, you know what I mean? So I would say that message in itself, along with the challenge from a fatherly figure at the time, it was actually my biological father. He challenged me. He said, Andre, he said, if you maintain a 3.0, a minimum of a 3.0 or more, or higher, excuse me, for the rest of your school year, which was basically the rest of my high school year, because I was a freshman at that time, I'm gonna take you on a cruise. Now, it wasn't necessarily the cruise or the gift, thinking back on it now, that encouraged me to maintain that GPA. I actually ended the school year, I actually ended my high school career with a 3.6 GPA. It was somebody else taking interest in my life and challenging me to be better than the other individuals, you know, who I was currently at the same level with at that time, you know, getting all L's or D's, dropping out of school, going to continuation school, etc. It was that challenge to be better. It was that challenge to compete with these other, you know, scholars at that school. It was this challenge to say, Andre, you're intelligent, you're smart, you're a gentleman. You can do this if you put your mind to it. I think that challenge for me to be better, and that challenge, and so that him recognizing me and saying, I know you have the ability to do so. This is what's cool. This is what it, you know, this is where it's at, right? You get this GPA, not only are you gonna go on a cool cruise, but imagine everything else. Imagine that challenge and how I took that head on and how that changed my life. It went from getting a gun put to my head to having F's and D's to, you know, messing around in the streets to, well, damn, excuse my language, in order to get this 3.6 GPA, I have to study. Yeah. I have to go to my teacher's after school hours. Yeah. Oh, well, while I'm doing this, I'm eligible to run track. I'm eligible to play football. Oh, well, while I'm doing this, oh, now I can do extracurricular activities like the debate team and youth court. So it's just one challenge, and believing in yourself and understanding that there are other options, and understanding that you are more than what's outside your window or what's outside your door, that will lead you to where you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be. And that will take you away from that pit of negativity and those crab in the barrels. And I guess just to end this, you know, to end this video, to end my message, it's endless possibilities once again, and there's a lot that you can do, and there's so much life out here, and there's so much, you just have to get there. You have to give yourself the chance to get there. But those guys outside that are on the corner, they're not cool. That's not cool. You don't need that. You can get your money, you can get those Jordans, that beautiful woman, that car, you can get all that in time doing, you will get it. But those guys out there and not doing things the right way, you may have it for a second, but I guarantee you that it will be taken away from you.